Hi, this is Pauline Interviews again, and this is part 3. We're talking about energy. And I'm not going to have my guest interview herself, but she's going to introduce herself because my German is very good. And your name is?
Gabi Schoenig.
She says it so prettily. Anyway, in this part 3, we're going to talk about some of the clients that come to Gabi for help. And we have some interesting, not only clients, but some of the, I guess you'd call them not ailments or problems or whatever, wherever they need help, right? So you can start with somebody specific, without names, and then go on to whatever else you can tell us about some of the work you do.
Yeah, I'll start out maybe in general, like usually it's a lot of women who come see me, and they come to see me in situations of their life when something is very challenging, maybe a breakup of a relationship, or they are facing a career choice, or they are contemplating to move and are not sure, should they move to this place or another place or a third one, and I can help them determine, what location might be best for them, just by looking at the energy, how the energy of that place they consider and their own energy resonates.
And so if I came to you and said, well, I'm thinking of moving to California, would I have to say specifically we're in California? Or
you could, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Maybe all of California I would get a no immediately, but then if it was a yes, we could look at different locations within California that are,
Napa Valley?
that agree with you.
Wow, and how do you do that? I mean, what happens? You get a feeling in your gut, or do you have a visualization? Or so if I came in, let's say I'm coming in, I say, Gabi, I'm thinking of moving to California, how does that look for me? And you would tap into...
I immediately got a no.
Oh, you do? Oh, none of California. Can I try another one? There's another place I really like. How does it look for Germany for me?
Well, if this was you and this was Germany, then wow, it feels more like a very short, brief encounter, but you would, not stay there.
Yeah, but I've enjoyed it while I was there. Yeah.
It might be really intense.
Could I ask you if Oregon's a good place for me? I mean...
So we can look at it like that, like if this is you and
this
is
Oregon,
then...
I've been here most of my life, so I'm wondering, am I doing the right thing?
It's kind of...
Yeah, because I've looked like...
Could be not.
Yeah. Because I did this with astrocartography, and you're kind of doing that, but without... And astrocartography is where you use astrology and it's energy, the lines in the, around the country. And I lived on the East Coast, but I never wanted to be there for very long, and I found I had no lines and no energy there. So you're kind of doing the same thing with the energy. Okay, so people will come and say, maybe this place will be good or not, and you can pretty much accurately tell them whether or not that's a good place for them. Okay, and then you told me a story about a woman that, you said her husband left her, and so she comes to you, and you try to, what would you do with her? How would you help her with that condition?
Usually I would probably start working with these patterns of the emotions. There's usually a lot of grief, anger, frustration, maybe despair or fear of the future. And so that all is manifested in the energy field, and I just work with the energy patterns. I use my hands to tap into the energy field, and then I allow my hands to be moved by the energy. So these are very subtle streams of energy, but they're very real. So by moving along with the energy or intending the energy to move, there are real results, even though it is invisible to the outer eye. I have been observed many times by people who are clairvoyant, and they see colors, they see guides, they see angels, they see light, and so it's very real work, but in the invisible realm. But even the invisible realm is visible to some.
Yes, I was going to say, it's not completely,
think increasingly people become more aware and awake of these more subtle energies.
I was asking you that because as you become more conscious and more open-minded, because I don't work with energy, but I actually, in the evening, I see all this stuff moving. Is that the energy that I'm seeing? I see things moving in the air, you know.
Everything is energy.
Mhm.
Even, you know, what we perceive as being physical and solid
Right.
is
It's
energy
moving.
ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, if we could
Because
see it,
it's photons, and photons can move.
they're vibrating.
Yeah.
Nothing's solid. It's an illusion. I mean, even that table, which we can't see in the shot, it looks solid. If I tap it, it sounds solid, but actually everything is moving in there.
Everything is alive.
Yeah, everything.
Because it has movement.
And consciousness.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Now you had other people that you helped with maybe some physical issues, some
Yeah, like
illnesses?
I worked with one gentleman and he had a stroke and he lost vision, the vision of color in one eye. And I worked with him energetically, and all of a sudden, like, he was able to see color again.
Is it because color's a vibration too? I mean, different colors have different vibration. Well, I mean, I don't know if you know exactly what happened. You know how to work with him and heal him, but is it because he could see the vibration of that color again, or?
I cannot explain
Yeah.
why and what exactly happened. I
Mhm.
just tapped into the energy and
Mhm.
shifted it the way it wanted to be shifted, and it happened.
Does anything happen while you're doing this? I mean, you can, do you get warm, do your hands warm up, like Reiki, people that work with Reiki, their hands get really hot.
Like, yeah, recently, like, a woman called me at night and she said, like, her dog had eaten medication, too much medication, and she was really, really worried, and she was already kind of on the way to the veterinarian. And I got such chills the moment she talked, you know, to me about it, that I knew, like, this is very, very critical, and
Yeah.
I started doing energy work immediately. And the dog left, but it felt like it was really on the edge.
Would you tap into the dog's energy?
Yeah.
And then what would you do? Would you move out the poisons, or? Well, medication does things to your energy field, so did you just kind of tap into that, move it out?
I don't really do it, but I hold
Right.
the door open
That's
for
right, yeah.
miracles to occur,
Yeah.
and they do.
I think lots of people like you
At times.
don't want to say you're the healer, you're the facilitator.
Yeah,
The
I'm
energy,
working
yeah.
with energy,
Mhm.
and whatever happens, you know,
Mhm.
happens because of grace.
I learned that when I actually studied Reiki. I was attuned by a Reiki master, and I have a level 2. And I learned that the Reiki people in Reiki don't say that they are the healers, they're the facilitator of the universal energy that, you know, channels through
Yeah.
them to help people. You know, I think it's hard for people to understand this because we're so brought up with the allopathic or the, you know, the medical field, but this is a complement to the medical field. I mean, it's a holistic view, because we were talking, if you break a leg, first off, you'll go to a surgeon or a doctor and they'll cast it, and then as a complement,
Yeah, you can add energy work to that, so the healing process can be sped up. And also, like, you can work with the shock and trauma of, you know, breaking that leg.
that's
That
right.
that doesn't stay in your energy system.
Yes, that brings up another topic, because when you have something physical happen to you, it's just addressed physically, but there's an emotional and a mental component. And so people should think when they get hurt, like I remember doing a show one time and we were talking about, I forget why, car accident. You're in a car accident and maybe you go to your chiropractor to fix your back,
Yeah,
or you go to your medical doctor and maybe take drugs to get rid of the pain, or whatever, however you get rid of the pain. But your energy body has been thrown out. And I don't know if you can address that. Somebody told me your energy body gets shocked or thrown out, because we're not just our physical body, we have this mental body, emotional body, or etheric body, which is
yeah.
your spiritual body there. And that needs attending to too. And
And
also,
the Native Americans, they talk, you know, about soul retrieval, like bringing a part of your soul back
yes,
that has left, maybe
Yes.
in a moment of shock.
yeah,
And we're all multi-dimensional beings, and
That's
we
right.
have so many different aspects of our soul, and we have all these different lifetimes we have already lived, lives in which we gained wisdom of some sorts, experience of some sort, and we have resources. You know, somebody who was a Tai Chi master in the past would have, really fast access to that skill again.
He carried the energy.
If he or she took it up again in this lifetime. Somebody who's been a medical doctor in the past, might learn really quickly how things work in the medical field.
So it's not only a talent too, you could have an interest in it. I've always, ever since I was a little kid, I've loved crystals. I have them all over my house. So I don't know, my friend said maybe I was worked with crystals as a healing modality. Yeah. I might have, maybe I just like that they're pretty and they sparkle.
There's so many different cultures, like the Egyptian culture, the Atlantis, Lemuria, Greece, Persia, the Native American, Maori, so different people have different affinities to different areas.
That's true.
In the world, perhaps because they had a life then.
Now what you're talking about interests me, but it may seem foreign to some people that are watching, but it's actually it's old, it's not new. I mean, the study of energy and working with energy, when you mentioned Atlantis and Lemuria, I don't know if they worked with it, but if, people that do believe in that, they were a more highly evolved civilization. So it's not that civilization, was like this, and now we're the highest level. It might have been that we had a high level, then we crashed, and now we're rising up again. So this work that you're doing may have been something that was common, like thousands of years ago.
And they were like, in all cultures, there were priests or priestesses or shamans or healers. Peru had like healing dancers and kahunas in Hawaii.
Yeah.
There are always like people who facilitate, like between the unseen realm and the
seen
realm here, and people come to them in certain times of their life when they are in need, like they would go to the temple or they would go to the mountain or...
Well, I always found energy healing fascinating. Is there any other client or example you can give us of people you've helped, like somebody that had the physical problem and you worked to get his eye color back?
I work a lot like with neck and back problems. Because most people have some issues with that. A lot of tension gets stuck, in the neck and back.
So you see a lot of that.
People even get like chiropractic adjustments without me even touching them, like vertebra crack and snap back into shape. And
wow,
that's called non-force. I experience it in my own body, and my own body is kind of like a proxy for the other person, so I can kind of see what is going on by feeling what is happening.
You're empathic.
We're like one energy circle, as long as we're connected in the work.
Any other kind of interesting?
And it's like a conversation between so many people and aspects, even though there are just two people in the room, but it's like your higher self, my higher self, you here, me here, plus, all our angels, all our guides. And
invisible
so
helpers.
it's like a group conference almost, like looking at the whole situation and really like, I help you only to look, from the perspective of your higher self at the place in your life where you are now, and to see where do you want to go from here. What are your choices? What are your empowering choices you can make? Like you are not a victim, you are not stuck, it's not, all terrible and over forever. There's a lot of different options, and we can look at, what options feel better than others.
And when you talk about higher self, I think people that watch this show probably know what that is, but for those who don't, it's actually the part of you that's the spiritual part.
Yeah.
Connected to the universal
energy. I see it as the I am presence, our Christ consciousness, or our eternal soul that goes from body to body through lifetimes and has,
carries all this energy.
Higher knowing of who we are as a soul, why we are here.
We usually when we get in our bodies, we forget about it, and we forget about our talents and the miracles we can do and our abilities. Yeah. It's all very fascinating. So if somebody, do you teach workshops? I mean, do you teach people how to, well, first off, before you answer that question, as you do this more and more, do you develop more and more abilities? Like, do you find that you yeah, that's what I was figuring. Yeah, your ability to...
It feels like the teaching is ongoing. Like every time I work on anyone, I learn new things. Or like learn a new angle of working with people.
So what kind of things would, if I wanted to take a workshop, where would I find you, and what kind of workshops do you facilitate?
I have a website that is www.doortothelight.com.
Door to the light,
Door
that's
that
easy.
you walk through.
Door to the light, that's easy
To
to
the
remember,
light.
yes.
Like the light
Uh-huh.
of the sun.
Yeah. And you sometimes do work at the New Renaissance bookstore too.
I
yeah.
do in Portland.
And what kind of work do you do there?
People come to get an intuitive reading and to receive energy shifts, maybe some coaching.
Mm-hmm. So New Renaissance Bookstore is on Northwest 23rd in Portland. I think it's the largest metaphysical bookstore in the Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
And so you teach there. And when a person comes
I'm
to
an intuitive reader.
Intuitive
there.
reader.
And sometimes I've done events at that place as well.
Mm-hmm. They have all kinds of great things going on there. Authors come from all over the country. I've interviewed a few of them. Very fascinating people. So if I came to you, I asked you how many times would a person have to come back? It depends on what the problem is and how it was resolved. Would that be correct?
The great thing is that often you can accomplish so much in one session that is enough.
Oh, that's good to know.
You know, sometimes people come back for follow-up sessions.
Yeah. Anything before we end that you'd like to say about energy and the work you do? And you can look in the camera if you like and address the people. You don't have to. If I think we covered a lot of stuff, but there must be some words of wisdom you have there. You seem to be more in touch than I am. Of course, I scatter myself around all kinds of modalities, and you're focused on the energy work. Yeah.
I can only say there's a world of energy out there, and it's all energy. There's nothing that is not energy, and we can influence it with our consciousness. There's a lot of different choices we have at each moment. Even when a situation looks hopeless, there are many choices, and I'm really happy that I can help people support them in this way.
And don't you think when we raise our energy and our consciousness, we're raising the consciousness of the world, and we really need that? Don't you think that's part of it? Every person can do their part by raising their consciousness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the work.
Yes, thank you so much. It was fun talking with you. And I want to thank you all for watching and supporting my show called Pauline Interviews. And actually, if you want to go on my website, I don't have a website, but I have Pauline Interviews, and I think you can make comments. If there are any topics you'd like me to cover, or if you have any questions, I'll look at them. The next time I have a guest, I'll ask them your question. And thanks for watching.